Well, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm great. So, are you ready to get started?
I am ready.
All right, so I'll go ahead and do the intro. How do you pronounce your company? Is it BHOR or BOR?
BHOR Media.
BOR Media. Got it, got it.
Yes.
All right. So, welcome back to the Boss Woman Network podcast, where we inspire, uplift, and empower women to take charge of their own careers and businesses. I'm your host, Leilani, and today I am thrilled to introduce a phenomenal guest who makes waves in the marketing world. Our guest today is Tony, the powerhouse behind BOR Media, a brand activation and marketing strategy agency that helps businesses build meaningful connections with their audiences. She has over 15 years of experience in marketing. She has worked with major brands and helped countless businesses elevate their visibility and impact. But her journey wasn't always smooth. Like many of us, she battled with self doubt, imposter syndrome, and today she's here to share how she pushed through those challenges. So we'll also dive into something Tony is truly passionate about, which is the importance of relationship building and marketing and how it can take your brand to the next level. So welcome, Tony, to the show.
Hi, thank you so much.
All
I'm
right.
happy to be here.
Yes, I'm so happy to have you here and to share your story. Um, so, Tony, you built an impressive career in marketing over the last 15 years. So, can you take
Yeah.
us back to the beginning? What inspired you to pursue your career in marketing and brand activation?
Yeah, sure. So my start was not linear. It was not easy. I graduated college at the time there was a housing market crash. So there was no jobs available to me immediately, and this was in 2008. So I did a lot of like freelance work. I was scrappy. I was, boots on the ground trying to figure it out. Um, Kind of personality, like determined. I didn't know what I didn't know, but I was so determined to create a path for myself that I worked a regular job. I was doing more operations, administrative type work while in my freelance and marketing endeavors, it was really around blogging was very popular at the time. And so I envisioned that I was going to work in the entertainment industry. So I created this platform. It was an entertainment pop culture website that um, I was learning how to create marketing copy, tell compelling stories, and grow an audience and reach people in a way that they would engage, they would follow. And so I was learning it um, on my own. I mean, what we learned in school was not ultimately what you do.
Right.
So again, my beginning, it was just scrappy. It was just throwing spaghetti on the wall. Everyone was stuck. I was like, I could go the PR route. I could go into communications because writing was easy for me. That was really what propelled me to pursue marketing because marketing is around persuasive language, using language through different communication streams to um, compel people in a way to take certain kind of action, whether that is a selling a product or a service or selling an experience. So I learned really early on that I could write. Give me a topic, I could write, right? I could write about that thing. I could write about it in a way that, people could care and want to engage. So that was my first aha, like, oh, I took this marketing 101 class in high school, and then that sparked something in me because I had a natural talent. And if I honed in on that and it allowed it to be nurtured, I could go far. So that was kind of my entry into marketing, entertainment marketing, pop culture news again. And then eventually that led me to working in a corporate setting where I was marketing events for something completely different than the entertainment realm. It was within healthcare, life sciences. So it was very corporate, very structured, very regulated. Think biotech, pharmaceutical companies. I'm marketing to executives for them to come to our events, for them to learn how to market the things that I had been doing. They wanted to learn it too because blogging, which kind of evolved into content marketing, they didn't know how to do that. They were still trying to adapt to the, internet boom and blogging culture. And I'd already done all of those things. So that was kind of my entry into kind of scrappy boots on the ground kind of entry into marketing, into working for a corporate company. And then freelancing and starting my own business and then helping small agencies and black owned, businesses, women led businesses learn how to market for themselves. So
I
that was
like
a
that.
long winded, but
Yeah.
that was my journey.
Wow. So for those that don't know, because I know brand activation is like a powerful space, but for those that don't know what brand activation is, what is brand activation and why is it so critical for businesses' success?
It's really it's kind of a go to market. When we talk about activation, it's taking your business, the act of selling a product and a service, and creating I've used the word experience around it.
Mhm.
That is the not just the logo and the color palettes, it's how you communicate your value, right? It's language, it's all of that, the tangible assets that makes your business become recognizable, but it's also what people feel when they engage with that business. So, from a branding person, may create the visual assets, may create that look and feel, that polished look. From a copywriting perspective, you're finding what your unique value is and finding multiple different ways to communicate that in different channels, marketing channels. That could be email, that could be social media, that could be website copy, that could even be a person. A person is your marketing channel. Word of mouth marketing is still very much powerful. So every avenue that can be activated to diffuse out your brand, your message, your service, your product, whatever that is activation. And if you have a strategic mindset, you're going to purposefully activate your brand in a channel in the way that that channel is supposed to be leveraged, right? Whether you're an influencer, whatever is your sweet spot, and whatever is that channel or channels that reaches your audience because they already exist there. It's like place. What's the four P's? It's like product, place. I'm forgetting some of the
The
marketing
third one.
fundamentals,
Yeah, I forgot the third
but
product place.
that's still, yeah, price. That's still very much true. They Wherever your audience exists, you go there
Mm.
and you engage them. You become active in those spaces. So your brand becomes activated in the spaces where your audience is likely to already exist and will likely engage. So a holistic strategy, things from top down, establish what the brand is, establish the look and feel, establish the messaging, do the market research to know who your target audience is, and then create compelling content, whether that's video, again, I've mentioned email, social graphics, to activate them in those spaces. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
I'm sure that helped a lot of people. That's going to help a lot of people.
Yeah, I hope so.
So you went from corporate to working and starting your own business. You say you started your own business like 7 years ago?
Yes, and I actually still work in corporate. I
Okay.
still work marketing agency as well as I run my own agency. So I do both. Um yeah, it's something that I've always done. I've always had that entrepreneurial hat, always worn that entrepreneurial hat because I always believe you don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Right.
But I also strongly believe in having multiple streams of income or optimizing opportunities to have multiple streams of income, especially in today's market. It's
Hmm.
almost necessary.
Yeah, most definitely. And then you live in New York, so it's especially
Oh
necessary.
yeah, oh yeah. Cost of living in New York.
The cost of living
Yeah.
out there is something else, isn't it?
Yes.
Um, so is your target market right now like women or mom and pop businesses or both?
You know, the interesting thing is most of my customers have been, or my clients have been Black women.
Hmm.
But I have seen an influx of Black men now seeking services. I must say, um, in recent years, especially my most loyal client is a Black man,
Oh.
right? And I must say that because a lot of times you'll see or you will hear how Black men do not support Black women. I found that more Black men are willing to work closely with Black women because they feel comfortable working with us. They know that
Hmm.
we're going to do the work. They know that we're gonna
Be passionate
dot
about it
the
for sure.
I's, cross the T. Say that again.
And be passionate about it for sure.
Yes. So I have been supported by mostly like consultants, individuals who are, or I'll give you a few examples. Um, Professional development in consultants, HR individuals, like life coaches. I've worked a lot with those types of individuals.
Hmm.
I've worked some with designers, like they sell products, e-commerce, a few of those as well. But I think I've been equally supported by Black men and Black women.
That's good. So if
Yeah.
someone wants to work with you, what are some of the services that you offer for a breakdown for somebody that don't fully understand what you do?
I'm going to assess your branding, your current branding. Um, a lot of times, especially small businesses they don't have the infrastructure to compete with large or even mid-sized organizations, they're not polished, right? They don't have the basics, the fundamentals to start to understand what they're even competing against. So a lot of times you come to me, I'm going to assess, well, where are you in this process? Are you even client ready? Everyone is not client ready. And that does not, it's not always about budget. Uh, Having budget obviously is important,
Most
especially
definitely.
as a business owner, right? Because you have to, meet your bottom line and
Right.
maximize your revenue. But every client is not client ready. They don't know what the brand should stand for. They haven't done the groundwork. They haven't done the market research. They don't even know where to start. And sometimes you need that direction. So I'll assess, where are you in your business journey? Are you just starting out? Do you want to specialize in a certain niche area, segment, or audience that you want to zone in on? We're going to do a bit of market research if there's none. Usually, most small businesses, they haven't done that. They kind of mimic what they see others are doing. Um, then we're going to go into asset brand development, your aesthetics and your messaging, and most of the time, that often leads to small projects that become larger projects. Like it could be a website development that leads to a broader conversation around, okay, we're establishing a look and feel for your website, but that often then veers off into, okay, so you need to have the same look and feel across all of your channels. So, what does your social media presence look like? What does your email marketing, let's say if you want to then continue to connect with your audience off social media, um, on other platforms, what do those templates look like? What is the messaging? So I often will sit people down and assess where they are in their journey. Some people are more knowledgeable than others. They'll give you more direction than others. And then we'll often go from there. And then maybe we'll build out a campaign or advertising strategy that helps you to acquire some more market share.
Okay. That was a good way of explaining it. Um, okay. So you said that you, even with all your success, you have been overcoming self-doubt and an imposter syndrome has been a
Hmm.
part of your journey.
Yeah.
Can you share what your experience been like with that for you?
I think that comes from usually being the only Black woman in predominantly white spaces. It's just a different, um, you're often not heard. You're often, from a cultural perspective, your experiences are just different oftentimes. And when you are Black or other in predominantly white spaces, and I've struggled to find my voice because of that. I've struggled to be understood because of that. I've struggled to find community in corporate settings because of that. And I think in struggling to find my voice, there were times I was challenged because I was misunderstood,
Right.
right? And I didn't always advocate for myself, and I didn't always know how to advocate for myself without the fear of being called or perceived as being angry or
Right.
disgruntled. So I think a lot of that, navigating predominantly white spaces or spaces where I didn't see a lot of me. I'm also from a Caribbean background, so I've had to adapt. So I think that was where I really struggled. And
Mm,
I've had some toxic work environments. I mean,
yeah.
people are people,
Mhm.
wherever you go, whether you're working with a client or whether you're working in a corporate setting with teams and functions, people are people. They'll bring their drama to work. They'll bring their toxicity to work. And sometimes looking back, I can say I've allowed those things to affect me, and I lost my voice. And I think that even
Mhm.
now
Happens.
I've regained it and I'm still regaining it because there are times when I'm like, I don't even want to fight. I
Right.
don't even want to be bothered. And I think as Black women, I mean, there was a study not long ago. I saw a study not long ago where a lot of Black women are quitting working in corporate setting for a lot of the same reasons and starting their own businesses
Mhm.
because they'd rather start their own businesses and do their own thing than navigate the system,
Right.
you
Most
know?
definitely.
And so I still have moments where I'm just like, I am tired. Like I'm a part of that 92%. We're tired.
We're tired. I am one of those 92 percenters. It's a lot of women that struggle with feeling if I'm good enough or finding their voice. What are some of the tools that you've used to kind of help you navigate that process?
I have had therapy. I'm
Mm,
not in therapy right now, but I've had to do some research. You have to want to get better. Um, I've had to learn what some of my triggers were,
mm,
right? Like when I've had panic attacks, right? Like I would go into full on panic attack modes at times because of
wow.
trauma, and I didn't know where's this coming from, right? I've had to unpack some of that. You know, again, I'm coming from a culture that's highly critical. Not to say all Caribbean households are strict, but when you are an immigrant of parents that work very hard, you're the first of to go
Oh,
to
wow.
college.
Mm,
You know, you have pressure on you to perform, right? So I've had performance anxiety. Um, I had to unpack that. It had nothing to do with my work. It had nothing to do with my job. It had nothing to do with my career. It had to do with unhealed trauma. So I
mm,
think therapy is important, but you've got to want to be in therapy. And there not no two therapists is the same. So you've got to find the one that's right for you, but you've also got to be honest with yourself. It takes accountability. Um, if you have a victim mindset, therapy is not probably not going to work.
mm,
I have been victimized, right? But I've also been in situations where because of my unhealed trauma, I didn't react in the right way.
oh,
I didn't do myself any good by not knowing how to deal with my own emotions about what triggered me.
mm,
So I would say when you start to feel that's anxious, angry about something, someone said something that's triggered a negative emotion in you, what's that about? Is it them? or is it they reminded you of something that bothers you? And it's important to know that the difference between is if the person is the problem or the way you have perceived the situation is the problem. Because sometimes you can get the two confused.
I can see that.
And the more you learn what your triggers are, the less other people will bother you. The less you will allow other people's stuff to impede on how you show up.
Hmm.
So it really comes back to, for me, a lot of self awareness and then gaining the tools to navigate difficult situations. Like, no one's perfect. We're not always going to have it, we're not going to be on our A game every day. But the bet the more you learn how to navigate difficult circumstances or difficult people, whether that is disengaging, whether that is disarming them, not giving into whatever thing that they're trying to provoke, the more control you gain in your own emotions, the less power you give them. And so that starts to help you self regulate. So I'm saying all that to say it goes back to self awareness, your own self assessment, so that you can start to unpack where your triggers, where your challenges are coming from, so that you find the tools to work through them, including finding your voice. You may have grown up in strict environments. You may have been traumatized by some relationship that made you feel like, made you question everything that you do and you say. Your confidence has waned for whatever reason. Unpack it, because it will show up in every situation, every environment, every relationship that you have, career wise, personal. Those things are going to show up.
Hmm. That is so true. So how would somebody unpack it?
I mean, some people are more aware than others.
Hmm.
It starts with the negative emotion. Where is it coming from? But you have to want to know it. You have to want to discover that. And I honestly don't know what makes one person more inclined to work through it than another. But if anyone will listen to this and want to start somewhere, I would say go to therapy. Start with consulting with a professional to talk about, and you may go in there thinking, I got it. And they'll start to ask you questions about, well, what was your childhood like? Well, how was your day today? Well, what happened today? And why did that happen? And sometimes the conversations are what forces you to really like, oh, wait a minute, I didn't think about it that way.
Hmm.
If you don't have the resources, or you don't know where to go to start find a therapist right now, um start with a trusted advisor, somebody who cares about your well-being but will hold you accountable, but will hold you but will I'm trying to find the right word here. They will give you grace even in your failure.
Hmm. I like that.
Yeah.
That's some great advice.
Thank you.
So was that something that once you come to terms and kind of started better understanding yourself, did that give you better strength as an entrepreneur?
I realized I knew more than I thought I did.
Hmm.
And I needed to stop. I sometimes do this when I feel like I'll voice an opinion. It could be whether that is a boardroom, a meeting, a Zoom call. I'm on a call. I'm voicing my opinion because I think, let's say it's a strategic approach. I don't agree with it, right? And I start to voice my opinion, and someone interrupts me. And in past settings more so than not, and it still happens, but I'm better able to navigate it. I become silent, and I think over time I sometimes you get sick of your own stuff, right? You get sick and tired of being in the same place or stuck in the same place. So I've decided, I've done the work. Why am I allowing my voice to be silenced? Why am I allowing myself to be spoken over? So I've started to speak up. And that takes time because you don't want to ruffle anyone's feathers, but I'll even let me make my point, or oh, just one second, or what I want to say, or what I want to add, or let me clarify, without being combative, but I wasn't done. But that takes practice.
Hmm.
It takes practice. And
Yeah,
I still feel like, oh my God, they're gonna hate me. They're gonna think I'm just trying to be a
that
disgruntled.
can be a trigger because it could make you want to go off on somebody because you know.
Sometimes, listen, sometimes I have to remind myself, okay. But again, the better you become at navigating difficult emotions, the better you become at navigating people who are chaotic.
Hmm.
If they can get control over your emotions, that you start to spiral. So I have to sometimes remind myself of that. Calm down, breathe, take a moment, because all of those things work. Or write it down. If you can, in that moment you feel flustered or whatever, write it down, follow up. We talked about this earlier today, and I haven't thought about it some more. I hear my additional thoughts, blah, blah, blah. Let's connect. You know, don't allow them to throw you off.
Yeah, that definitely takes strength. That is
It
definitely
takes
takes
and
work
practice.
and
Yeah.
practice for sure. Because
Yes.
you have
Yes.
people that'll do that on purpose just to trigger you, just to make
Oh,
you
for
look
sure.
crazy in front of people
For
on purpose.
sure. For sure. They do it intentionally. I had
Yeah.
a white man. I said, how come you guys just like to talk? And, if someone's talking, y'all just kind of chime in. And he goes, well, just say what you want. Speak your mind. Have an opinion. Say it. And I'm like, well, you make it sound so easy.
Yeah,
But if
because they
everyone
do
did
it.
that, no one would get hurt.
Yeah. All right. So one of the things you were really passionate about is relationship building and marketing.
Yes.
Can you break down why relationship building is such a key part of success and marketing efforts?
Yes. In my experience, unless you have unlimited resources, specifically funding, um, you're going to have to build relationships. I mean, even if you had lots of money, relationships are still important. I just think that to it's easier to compete in when it comes to business in spaces when you've got money you can throw at advertising, you've got advertising dollars, you've got resources you can allocate to this thing, or in hiring employees to take care of the day-to-day operations. If you've got unlimited resources, you just throw money at it. But a lot of us don't come from, you know,
Okay.
unlimited
Yeah.
resources, right? And even for those businesses that and organizations that's gotten funded, they had to prove their worth first. They've had to prove that their inventions or businesses had traction already. So it goes back to building the relationships offline. Social media and all of these digital tools and platforms that we have available to us are phenomenal, but they're always changing the rules. They're always fixing the algorithm. So to encourage you to spend money, to advertise, to get more reach, so on and so forth. So you can't always bet. And oftentimes your customers don't just buy from you from seeing you
Sure.
online unless they have engaged and interacted with your brand multiple different touch points, and by the time they get to seven to somewhere between 7 to 11 times that they've come across your brand, and it's resonated enough for them to go on your website, download a brochure, request a demo, they might then be ready to buy from you, but that takes a lot of effort. You can go farther by getting in the right rooms with people with money. Those are the executives. Those are um, companies that have budgets that usually set money aside for to give to whether you're an influencer or small business and minority owned. And I know a lot of the policies in today's climate, it's changing, but it's still out there. When people like you, they'll give you more opportunities. That's also another part of it. It's not just about the networking aspect in to gain some kind of financial collateral or build up your business. But when people like you, they vouch for you.
That's true. How do you
Your
even get into
community,
those rooms?
oh my God,
That's the hard part.
you gotta put yourself out there. And I still try to do this as much as possible. Every opportunity I've gotten, I will say, it's because somebody liked me, somebody referred a client to me, um, someone believed in me. Honest to God, my career, the client that black man I was telling you about, that he was one of my loyal customers. He was a referral.
Okay.
You know, um, the career path that I'm on. When I said I was freelancing all those years, and I put a portfolio together, this woman gave me a chance. You know, little black girl. No one looked like me in that organization. She just listened. Oh, you know what you're talking about. Oh, you've done this. Oh, okay. Gave me a chance. Um, and that was I was doing more copywriting, content writing, and blogging and all of that because that's where I started. Where I'm at now, where I'm doing more strategy work, the media company that I work with, he liked me. I got on an interview, and I'm interviewing for a different role within marketing. It was more around managing clients because again, I had been doing that in my freelance work, and with COVID hit, I was just doing that. And I got on the call, and I started talking about all the things that I had done. I'm applying for a account manager role. And he's like, no, 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 no. Your mind, the way you talk, you plan things. You're like a brand activation. That's not the word he used, but that's kind of where I ended up.
Hmm.
Um, you're a planner. You plan communications in different channels, right? And I go, yeah, well, I've done it. He was like, well, that's the job I'm giving you.
Oh, wow.
That's the job I got.
Wow. That's how it happens.
Yeah. So be your authentic self, I would say. Every relationship is not going to be, and do not, well, I should say, do not treat every relationship as a transactional relationship. There are people who, they're genuinely good people in this world, even when it feels like they're not, especially in business, because everyone's selling a thing, or everyone's selling an idea, or selling an image, in social media, or we're in that era where, we sell the idea of, even if behind the scenes it's a mess. Be your authentic self. Engage every relationship like you also have something to offer, not just something to gain.
Hmm.
I can't tell you how many times I see people, they're looking for mentors, and the way they approach it is, what can I learn from you? And executives, as smart as they are, and maybe or sharp as they are, and they're great orators, or they're great in making connections at that high level. A lot of them, they don't even know how to do a PowerPoint slide.
Wow. It's like, what can I help you with?
What can I help you with? That's how you start that conversation. You also should, especially if you are interested, whether someone is very influential or successful in a particular field or area of study, um, follow them for a while. Don't just show up one day. I like that one thing you did, and suddenly I need your attention. But really show and demonstrate that you've done your research, right? If there's a reporter, you want to go in journalism or PR or whatever it is, follow their journey for a while. See all the articles that they've written, see all the clients that they've helped. And when you engage, that's what you lead with. Not just how you can help them, but I noticed that you wrote about this thing. I noted that the execution you did or that client that you worked with, I loved how that campaign came together. Pay attention when you make it about somebody else. They're more likely to listen.
That's
So
true.
relationships, I think too, to answer your question, a lot of times how you get into those rooms are through those people who have or who already have access, but you have positioned yourself in a way that you will offer them value.
That was definitely a great tip.
It's worked for me. I want to do more of it. I'm also expecting, so it's slowing me down these days. But it's something that I remind myself too, and I don't think I'm doing enough. I'm like, I need to speak to some more people.
So, what advice would you give business owners who may be struggling to build authentic relationships in their own industries? Is that the advice that you would advise them?
Not just in your own industry. I've made that mistake as
Mm,
well. Network across sectors. Also, marketing overlaps into, or marketing can be broken down into a lot of different functions. Some people confuse PR with marketing, and it's not the same house, but they often overlap. So, what I think more business owners should do, if you sell products, collaborate with somebody who sells services, and maybe it is even a service that you need. When you're just starting out, maybe a barter system can work for you. As you start to grow, that's not sustainable, right? So because I have my own agency, a lot of times now what I do is I pitch to other agencies who need to outsource some of their work, right? So you network within your industry, but you also network across different industries, or um, like an e-commerce, someone who sells clothing. I know how to market that, right? Um, what are you challenged with? It could just be a conversation, whether they have a budget to pay you or not. What are you most challenged with? Why do you think that's not working? Right? Foster an authentic relationship where you're not competing with what they're doing, but you're genuinely curious. And they'll start to even teach you some things about marketing, or not marketing a product, but that particular industry. And before you know it, you don't even realize you're picking up on some gems that you might leverage later, right? Because most of the work that I do or clients that I've worked with when it comes to corporate is in the financial space, healthcare, medtech, education, nonprofit sectors, right? In my agency, it might be an e-commerce business. It might be, like I said, consulting. And before you know it, you start to pick up on some gems. And then you get a client later that also, I sell retail. I mean, I sell uh, clothing, or you've learned something about that sector, right? You might not have had that the other business owner, you didn't work with them, but because you fostered a relationship, you gained something from that authentic, organic. So I would say network across, because you never know when that's going to come in handy. Or you may even just make a friend. Or they're going to remember later, oh yeah, I was talking to Tony about branding, and I don't know branding. I have an idea of a product I want to launch. Let me go back to her. So oftentimes the return on the investment is not immediate. But again, if you genuinely show an interest in other people's stuff, you just your authentic self, sometimes that comes back. Yeah. Pick up gems. Be open to learning new things, even if you think you're never going to use it.
I love it. All right. So, you've already accomplished so much with BHOR Media, but I know you have big plans for the future. So, what's next for your company?
Well, I'm like a lot of small business owners, to be honest with you, as a black woman, I'm always trying to scale, right? We're going through tumultuous times right now in our economy. We're going through economic crises as well as political. So all of the things I've said to you are things that I'm implementing.
Hmm.
But for me, it's the scale. It really is. Um, I've had seasons where I was doing really well. I was getting more clients. I was, you know, um, acquiring market share at a faster rate. And then I've had down seasons where, and I'll be transparent about that. And a lot of people,
I
sometimes
know.
it's you're afraid to be honest because it makes you vulnerable. I've had that, right? So for me, it's to continue to scale, build a sustainable business. I'm I'm about to be a mother. I've got to build wealth, right? So this is something that I constantly think about. I've got to build a legacy that my child can, if they want, build upon. So that's my
Congratulations on
focus.
your new baby.
Thank you. So
Well,
that's what I'm thinking about. That's what's motivating me.
that is definitely always the motivation for women for sure.
Yeah.
So is that the impact you hope to have in the next 5 to 10 years for
Oh,
your
for
company and beyond,
sure.
to leave a
For
legacy?
sure. I will be honest. I'm scared,
Mm,
right? I'm scared. I don't know what's going to happen in 5 to 10 years, but that's the goal, right? Um, during COVID, I was forced to just work this business because I didn't have my we were marketing events for corporate clients. Events weren't happening, so we had to. I was laid off, so my business was it. So again, I go back to having multiple streams of income, right? I'm scared to really scale this thing to make it the only thing, right? Because
mhm.
I thought about that. Okay, what what do I want to do in the next 5 to 10 years? Do I want to continue to do both or have these multiple things going on, or do I want to focus because I might have to do that? My life's changing,
Right.
right? And I'll be honest, it's scary.
I can imagine.
Scary.
It is definitely taking that leap.
It's scary. I'll be honest. So I think that's where my mind is. That's where my effort is. And only time will tell. But all of the things I've said here are things that I'm doing. I'm in the trenches with everybody else.
Hmm, I love it. So, Sony, your journey is so inspiring. I know our listeners are going to be walking away with some great advice and some great tips and motivation. So, before we wrap it up, what are some words of encouragement that you can leave with the women who are facing some self doubt and struggling to build their brands?
I have wasted so much time on things that didn't matter, on people that didn't, not that they didn't matter, but they didn't belong in my life.
Ooh, man.
We are getting older. There's less time to waste. You know, if I knew at 20 what I know now, I'd probably be a multimillionaire. And I think a lot of people think that, a lot of people say that. But we're not getting any younger. Life's not getting easier. So the time that you're sitting or waiting on it to get be right, for everything to align, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your purpose. You every single one of us that's here living alive, we have a purpose. Whether we know what that is, whether we have the clarity on what that is or not, or it might even be changing or evolve over time. But we all have a purpose. And the time that you sit in doubt and fear, and I just admitted that I'm afraid of taking, the next leap, right? But the time that we sit with that, we're not executing. If you want to make an impact on this life, if you want to make an impact on whether you're a parent, you've got family, you just want to leave your mark on the world, you don't have time to waste. And trust me, no one's paying attention to the flaws you think you have as much as you are. A lot of us are trying to hide those things, hide our insecurities. You'll be surprised how much of it's the stuff that we carry is about us. It's us. It's not no one else care. And even if they are negative or people say things to discourage you, they're speaking from their own viewpoint. They're speaking from what they think is possible. Don't make their story your story. You don't have time to waste. I know when we were in our 20s, we thought we did. When you're in the 30s, it start to sometimes it start to make sense. I'm now 40, and I'm realizing I wasted a lot of time on things and people that didn't serve me. All I had to do was believe in me. All I had to do was create a way, and I did, but I could have also done more. I saw, and I'll leave you with this. I saw an Instagram video, and when the girl, she goes, "We die at the end of this. We die at the end of this."
It's so true.
So she was like, "F them," and that's how I feel. It's true. F them. Kanye West does not care, despite all the backlash he's gotten. And I know there's some mental things probably
Yes,
going on with
definitely.
it.
But he does not care.
He does not care. He believed himself. He will talk about himself as the greatest. He does not care whether we believe it or not. And so much to the point where he's convinced a lot of other people he's a genius. That's how you should feel about yourself. Be crazy about your passions and go for it and do it anyway.
I
I'll
love
say
it.
that'll be it.
Girl, sound like you got some pastoring in you too as well.
Gotta, I have to remind myself. This is also me telling myself too. So
Yeah, that was beautiful. I love it.
thank you.
So how do people find you if they want to use your services? Because I know they don't have to be in New York to use your services.
Yes. So again, yeah, because a lot of what I do is in digital space. I can work from anywhere, work remote. You can go to thebohrmedia.com, THEBHOR media.com, and book a consult with me. It's literally one of the first things you see. Let's talk. Let's connect. Book a consultation. You can also find me around the net by the same name, BHOR Media, BHOR Media on Instagram, Threads. I'm not really using Twitter right now, LinkedIn, and well, I am using LinkedIn, Facebook. It's consistent around the web, so it's not going to be hard to find me at all.
All right. Well, thank you for joining me today here on the Boss Woman Network podcast. Thank everybody for tuning in.
So
And
much.
until next time,
I
bye.
thank you for the opportunity. I really, really appreciate this.
I love it. I
A great
love it. You
platform.
are such a great guest. And you
Thank
gave us some
you.
really great information, even some things that I can use. So thank you again. And
Thank
you enjoy
you.
your evening. Congratulations on your baby.
Thank you. Enjoy your evening as well.
All
We'll be in
right.
touch.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.